Hey y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and today I'm in Chattanooga. And instead of a mainly photo walk, what I'm going to do is find a spot that's not in the rain, because it's trying to rain real hard. It keeps sprinkling off and on. That's why my camera gear is on my backpack instead of in my hand right now. Not sure if I'm actually going to get it out and use it. But Evan Ramp did a video about like some BS things or whatever about what he for the emerging photographer or the new photographer or whatever you want to call it. And I thought, that's a really good video, but it only applies to his experience. And I thought maybe it would be a good idea if I was to share my experience, and because I have different perspectives than he has. I've been on YouTube almost as long as him, and my channel didn't perform nearly as well as his. So maybe you can actually take some of my information, not do some of it apparently, and have better results. I have like almost 6,000 subscribers. He has 311,000 as of this date. So he's doing something dramatically righter than me if you want to be successful on YouTube. So that's one of the questions you have to ask is, what do you want to be successful at? So let's get into this. Thought I might want to set up here, but number one, all the hard surfaces make the audio echo a lot. And number two, the road is literally right there. So it's kind of not the ideal location. So let's see if we can find a better spot for this instead. I'm not going to do them in the same order that Evan did them in, and I'm not going to do all that he said. I'm just going to touch on the ones that kind of mattered to me the most. He talks about a lot of stuff to do with business and photography, and as we all know, I didn't make this my vocation. This is more, well, I kind of sort of did with YouTube, but I didn't really do it like he has as a full-time gig. I'm just a guy with another skilled trade or two who does this for fun, more or less. And because of that, I didn't like study search engine optimization, because YouTube is a search engine just like Google is. And if you don't realize that early on, like me, you make hundreds and hundreds of videos that aren't keyword searchable because you didn't deliberately build in keywords like a SL2 and 50mm Summicron L, and mirrorless camera and photography photo walk, and you don't say those things 4 or 5 times through the video, then it doesn't get traction because YouTube can't find it. And I did that for years, not realizing what I was doing, because I was just making videos as a hobby. I wasn't really like drilling down on what makes YouTube work really well. And most likely that's kind of sent my channel to the graveyard, and that's why I'm pretty sure none of my videos get many views, or they're just really boring. Either way, I'm not doing like hit pieces, and I'm not doing like the latest product launch reviews. I don't do that either. So it's, all the stuff that you would normally get a lot of traction on from YouTube, I'm just not seeing it because of the fact that I don't do it as a vocation. With that aside, I'm going to relocate. That had to be weird looking. One thing about it, it's windy today. I'm trying to find a place where I can just kind of post up and talk to the camera, but all the places I find have one problem or another. It's something like either a echo, or the wind's blowing super bad there or something. maybe I can go over here to this old motel that's shut down and I can get up on their porch. We'll see about that. Second thing I want to bring up is that nobody cares how hard you have to work or how much work you put into your photos at all. Evan's 100% right on this. Is it compelling or not? That's all they care about. So if you spent 3 seconds editing, or if it just come right out of camera the way you wanted and it's an epic, compelling photo, you're done. You don't have to spend any time in post-production. It's a slippery slope going down the rabbit hole of post-production. To be fair, this is going to segue into my third point. My third point is he's also right in that you need to learn the fundamentals, and I'm going to expound on that a little bit. And it's mainly because we've gotten into this hype cycle of new camera releases happening every year, or even sometimes less than a year. They happen so frequently. We've constantly being bombarded with new cameras with mildly incremental updates to things that makes them a little bit better here and there. Occasionally there's a big drop, like when Nikon went from the X-Speed 6 to the X-Speed 7 processor. You know, that's a pretty dramatic change, because the processing power of the X-Speed 7 is greater than 2 X-Speed 6s working together. That was a pretty big breakthrough. The shutterless design, in my opinion, was a pretty big breakthrough. Yeah, as far as things like that go. Sensor stabilization, that was a big breakthrough when it came out. You know, now you get 7-8 stops is the norm on a sensor stab. It's crazy the rate at which things are progressing. We are being trained very carefully by the manufacturers to update our equipment routinely. Well, the problem with updating your equipment routinely is you never truly learn to master the equipment and all the functions that it can provide you if you're constantly trading to the newer machine, who has different control layouts or different menu choices, or the menu choices are rearranged because there's more menu choices now. I have seen it myself. The longer you own a piece of equipment, the more you get comfortable with how it works and how to use it and all of the functionality. And by learning the equipment, you get better at using the equipment. Okay, the next one is learning the fundamentals brings you the ability to compose a really good photo. Practicing the fundamentals is key. And you know, they say the rule of thirds is overused, and it is, but if you use it appropriately, you get stunningly compelling images. So it's key that you use the fundamentals, and then once you've understood the fundamentals implicitly, then you can start breaking them, and you know the photo's still going to be good even though you're breaking them. People don't study the fundamentals a lot. They just get a camera and go out and just start shooting photos. And there really ain't nothing wrong with that. You can do that if you want. There's no photography police. Take all the pictures you want. But if you want to progress past a certain level, then you actually have to study the fundamentals and the masters and things like that just a little bit. You can move further faster. The next thing I'd like to talk about is don't be married to a brand. And Evan touched on this too, and I agree with him on this. The brand of camera doesn't really matter. Today, all the cameras work so well, you can get basically the same result from about every camera brand. It's not a special thing anymore to have a Leica or a Canon or a Nikon or Fujifilm or Ricoh or whatever brand you're using. It's not important. What's important is learning to use it, keeping it long enough that you actually learn how to use the camera effectively. I personally have been through several camera brands. The only one that I really haven't owned yet that's of the big names is Canon, and I just never have bought a Canon camera. And it's not because I don't like them, I've just never done it. I was in Nikon's ethos from the beginning, and I kind of jumped on that bandwagon, and I did a little bandwagoning there. Then I moved from Nikon to Fujifilm, and I had a Fuji X-T3 for a number of years, and I loved that camera. It was a great little camera. And then I moved from the Fujifilm to Leica. And I got some more Nikon cameras along the way, and I've gotten rid of them since. And I can confidently say that the brand of the tool isn't important. Getting a camera you enjoy using does matter though. And that's something he didn't touch on. The more you enjoy even just admiring the camera that you bought, the more you're likely to get it out and use it. Keep that in mind. If you buy some beater upper camera that's got 300,000 shutter clicks and looks like it's been drugged down the road behind a truck, and you just dread getting it out to go shoot, then you've bought the wrong camera. If you bought a camera that you admire for the precision craftsmanship and the way the shutter sounds, seriously, all of these, I guess you call them haptic responses or whatever it is that attacks the human senses, these matter. People don't give enough value and weight to that. It matters. Get a camera that has a shutter sound that you enjoy hearing, because you're going to hear it a lot. I like the way a Leica shutter sounds. It has a unique sound to it. It sounds really good to me. I enjoy using it. I enjoy the ergonomics of Leica cameras. I enjoy the ergonomics of Nikon cameras. That's what matters more than brand. The last thing that I would think that a new person coming into this kind of a space needs to know is that making YouTube content about photography and photography are very different things. They are so different, it's two different skill sets, and you have to learn them both. And remember that if you divide your time between two things, you never get really good at one of them. If you want to be really good at street photography, go do street photography and don't make a YouTube channel about it. Do street photography. It's just the way it is. I have spent so much time making these videos instead of out taking pictures that I have learned somebody said it one time, you have to tell yourself before you go out to make the video that today is a video content day and not a photography day. Instead of going out to take photos and not bother carrying the video camera at all. And I've done that many times, and I've done it many times after I learned how I wasn't really progressing in my photography because I was out collecting content. You have to be very careful with that. Getting yourself on some kind of really aggressive upload schedule basically pushes you to be a content creator instead of a photographer. So if you want to be a photographer, focus on photography. If you want to be a videographer, focus on videography. If you want to be a YouTube content creator, work on being a YouTube content creator. They're all different skill sets. Don't think you're going to start a YouTube photography channel and then it's just going to blow up like Peter McKinnon or Evan. On the days I want to go do photography, I leave the camera at home, the video camera. I don't even take it. You'll hear people, I take it just in case. There's not going to be a just in case. I'm going to go either to do photography or to make a video. And once I finally figured that out, it took me a bunch of years to figure it out, and you're getting it for free. Once I figured that out, my photography actually started doing better. I ain't going to sit here and blow my own horn, or as they say, toot your own horn, but I've been told by others that my photography has gotten better once I stepped back from YouTube as a content creator and stopped 3 videos a week and all this sort of stuff. I just want to share that with you so that you'll understand that maybe you're thinking being a YouTuber is the way to better photography, and honestly, studying photography is the way to better photography. Just plain and simple. The last thing I think I want to talk about is imposter syndrome, and I believe suffer from it. Just to give you the 10,000 foot overview, because there's a lot of other people that's way more qualified to explain this than me, but best I can understand, imposter syndrome is where you didn't take a certain path to get to where you are, that you're not qualified to be in that position, and even though your work speaks for itself, you just don't think that you have what it takes to be successful in that field or particular activity that you're engaging in. That's why I don't like push my prints or try to sell my books or any of that, and I just quietly publish them and have one at home and don't really tell anybody about it, because I have never thought my work was of a caliber that anybody else would want it. If you suffer from that, I feel your pain. It is a real thing, and I don't know how to solve it. At the end of the day, think about the things I've talked about here, and be honest with yourself. And if you're honest with yourself, then you'll have a lot more success than if you try to like hide from yourself or tell yourself, no, I'm this or that, or I'm going to do this or that. Be brutally honest with yourself. That's the part that makes all the difference. And when you're honest with yourself is where the magic happens. So now that I've waxed philosophical for however long this is, I'm going to tell you to get your camera out, which is probably what I'm going to do after I shut this video camera off, because then it's photography time and the rain seems to have let up. And we'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.